basically there's no like big agencies, small agencies. It's just everybody you either know it or you don't know it. Is that?
I think everybody there knew it, and I also think there was one session which I thought was probably required for most first timers was how not to be a douchebag at South by Southwest. Like the best time was you would get to some of these sessions early, either because you bailed on a bad one before or whatever, but you're sitting down next to somebody else because some of the rooms were packed. And they were doing one in, one out on a lot of these conferences, meaning if you got there at the time it started, you weren't getting in until somebody said, this is it for me, and went on, which isn't a good sign. But you're sitting down talking to somebody else who may be from a big agency, maybe from their own independent, but they said, I want to be here, and it's important to me. And you just start chatting, and you never, at least I didn't feel that, oh, we're a smaller agency and this guy's big timing me or whatever. Again, I didn't get the salespeople, I got the people that really wanted to be there. How about your perspective?
Yeah, I would say I was most surprised talking about people leaving that as soon as a person introduced himself, from that point on, people start leaving. It's just amazing. You come out of that session, like, I'm so-and-so from this agency, it's like, boom, out. What did you think this was going to be? But the one thing I tackled with, so to submit a talk, has to be 8 words or less, your title. So, especially social media, it's a hot topic. I'm sure they got thousands of people just submit that topic. People's title had nothing to do with their speech. They would say their title and they would start their thing and it'd be like abandoned immediately, which is fine, but I can see why you leave. I actually left a few. But yeah, I felt like I approached people that were like big time companies and everyone's just so free in this. It's like nothing like, oh, I'm giving this knowledge away, someone might use it. It's just this great atmosphere where the ideas are free flowing and you're free to approach anyone and there's nothing too big or too small.
What was the most, to that point, because it's hard in the East Coast for people to share information anyway, what was the most like unique conversation or discussions or things that were just something that you learned that you don't think you would have learned there?
I was interested to see a lot of the big brands kind of divulging how they staff and how they approach their social media. Like AT&T was saying, they have 27 full-time people that are staffing just like their Facebook page, and they have, on a good day they'll have 215 comments, and they were talking about some of their downfalls where they, AT&T coverage is always an issue, and that they released some memo to all their customers, and they had to staff people around the clock, and they were getting up to 10,000 hits a day. Just divulge that information, and just people kind of, a lot of the airlines are there, just divulging, listen, we struggle covering Twitter and the complaints, like how many people here have complained about, a flight being late or not compensated. Just being frank about everything and just saying, listen, no one's perfect yet. This space is still evolving and we're all screwing up. We're all here to learn about it. So it wasn't like no one's like, oh, I'm better than you. We're doing it perfect.
Okay, so from the business side of that, because I know that's something in our business too, the companies are nervous about that. People are complaining. They're nervous. They're saying what they want to say. And they're saying, how do we address it? How do we address it from a reputation management, from PR, things that you guys talk about how they're dealing with those issues on their end?
Were you in the Citibank conversation?
No.
I wasn't in it either, but one of my other partners was there. And Twitter was an integral part of this. And so there was a discussion on banking. And every session had a hashtag. And so one of them, during the conversation, during the panelists, they actually had on the big screen a Twitter stream of anybody using that hashtag. So here's this person from Citibank. In the middle of her talk, she looks over the Twitter stream and somebody is bashing the bank for overcharging late fees, charging too many late fees and stuff like that. And this is secondhand, but the way Patrick described it was so vivid, I feel like I'm going to do it justice. But he said, she stopped in the middle and said, whoever said that right there, she goes and points to it, is wrong. The bank is not your mother. They don't call you to tell you that your library book is overdue and you need to return it today or you're going to get charged a late fee. No, it's up to you. You have some personal responsibility. And she basically takes the audience to task right there for listening to her conversation. And so that kind of feedback I thought was really impressive. And for them to be, for her to open up like that, I give her a lot of credit. I give the bank a lot of credit to open up for that. And for them to have that, for her to have that dialogue, it puts a responsibility. Like I'd be there'd be a problem if I was the one that tweeted that and she started calling me out. I mean, that happened in college one or two times where the teacher calls you out for talking in class. But, you know, to be called out in front of this conference for something you tweeted, it sounded like it was pretty impressive.
To that point, it's very generational. I'm thinking the speaker is a little bit older, and the audience is rather younger.
Yep.
And if you've already accepted the behavior and the culture that, you know, 20-something, 30-somethings, they're going to say what the hell's on their mind, and they don't really give, excuse my French, a shit of what they, you know, what you're going to think. How does that fold into what you're doing in your business now, and what are you doing from a social management perspective in terms of addressing that with that generational kind of tension or friction of really getting honesty out there and transparency out there?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. So people view social media. Someone gave an interesting analogy at the conference. They were saying, if you're a Comcast customer, you call Comcast, you expect to wait on the phone. That's just standard at this point. You know, you get the stupid music, you're on the phone 10, 20 minutes, but you can tweet something. Exactly. But when you go and tweet something out, people are sitting there saying, like, refresh, where's my answer? So it's interesting now as it seems like the younger generation, myself included, I'm thinking now, I'm going first to Twitter. And I am looking for that quicker response, because that's the nature. You know, I know when you're calling a phone call, you're waiting for that one person to pick up. But I know that I'm sending a tweet out, and you know, I expect them, they have a staff of people on their side that are looking for these things constantly. So it's that whole idea that, you know, are we creating a generation of people that are just, you know, complain, you know, kick me the free gift card, kick me that, you know, I see that all the time with Wawa, one of our big clients. You know, people come to complain that, like, my hoagie wasn't sliced in half properly. Like, you really think I'm going to send you, like, a $10 gift card because your hoagie wasn't, you know, it's like saying, slice in half yourself, like, come on. But it is interesting, you know, I see older people come out and complain, and then when I respond, or when Wawa responds, it's almost like they're surprised, like, well, did you think no one was going to see this? And then you see people that they expect it immediately, and they expect to be, you know, compensated, so there definitely is still that big gap of what people expect, you know, or they just want to vent, or they want something in return, or they want to smash the brand. But another interesting panelist said, if someone comes on your Facebook page and says, you know, you frickin' suck, that's not actionable. You can't follow up with that. You know, that person is just.
Let me fix that.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the rules are still playing out about what's acceptable and what's not. I feel like it really depends on what your business is and, you know, the goals you set forth. Because at the end of the day, you can't get to everyone. Unless you're a really small business, you probably won't touch everyone. But the bigger you get, you can't get to everyone. There's going to be stuff out there you don't like. You have to try to fix as much as you can. But at the end of the day, you just can't get to everything.
Mm-hmm. So, the coolest thing you ever saw.
The one that I keep asking, because I get this question a lot, like, what's the one thing you came back with? Everybody's trying to get them to download your app to their phone, or their app to your phone. And I went to this conference about the blending of the virtual world and the real world. And there's this app called DocoBots. And it's this, you all remember Flat Stanleys? Your kids would make it, or you would make it growing up, and you'd send it to your relatives, and they'd take a picture of it, and then you'd have to go and talk in front of the classroom about the trip your Flat Stanley had. Well, take that concept and put it in the virtual world. So DocoBots is a smartphone app that the premise is there's a spaceship that dropped aliens all across the globe, and as you go around in the real world, using this app, it's got a Google Map underlayer, you'll run into a robot. And if you're the first person to run into it, you pick it up, you can take your picture with it, you leave it in your journal where you're at, you check it in. You can then put it on a flight and send it to wherever, and the destinations they have are spots where there's a lot of activity in the DocoBot platform. So Hong Kong and San Francisco and Austin were big platforms for that. Well, somebody else could be walking around in Austin and just pick up this bot that they just saw, look at its journal entries, and then add to it. And so I thought it was a really intriguing concept, and they were talking about the technical issues with that. My test is, can I take it to my youngest, my 9-year-old, I put it on my phone, I hand it to her. She's hooked on this game. I mean, when we get in the car, she wants my phone, and we drive around. She goes, "Daddy, are we going straight?" It's like, "Well, no." She goes, "Well, if we go straight, I can pick up a robot, or I'll pick up a battery." And she sent one of them to Hong Kong. She sent them wherever, and it's just a really cool concept where it's blending this virtual world of basically just bots and whatever, but it's with the real world. So as you're walking down the street, you're checking into the DocoBot application. You can can check on your bots when you send them off. You can check and see how they're doing and if they've been picked up by anybody else. And so that to me was a really sort of breakthrough concept of, we've got great mapping, we've got great computers in our hands that know where we're at all the time, and it had a camera on it, and they blended all that technology together really well and made it really interesting. And that was one that stuck out to me.
I would say it's, so coming in, just to preface that, but coming in, like, you hear these articles like, oh, like, big things break every year at South by, like, Twitter got its big first launch there, Foursquare in 2009, so I was coming in like, oh, I'm going to be, like, on the beta of, like, this cool app, and, you know, it's going to be so cool. There wasn't anything big time this year, I would say, like that, but the coolest thing I found was, and I actually overheard someone talking about it, it was this app for your phone. It's called Local Mind, one word. And it's kind of like a mix between Foursquare and a question and answer platform like a Yahoo Answers or a Quora, that you check into places, and I look at a map and I can see where people are checked in Local Mind, and then you could ask those people questions. So the great example they give is that, you know, you're in Wilmington and you want to go to a restaurant, you see someone's there, you ask them via the app, it's anonymous back and forth, is it crowded? Can I get a table? Or, you know, is this bar crowded? Is there a cover? And people can answer in real time. So it's one of those things that it seems like it could get a lot of use. I've downloaded now. It's not too big in this area and in Philly when I try to bring it up, but it's one of those things that if it got a lot of users, it'd be pretty cool. So Local Mind.
You have questions?
Oh, okay. And you mentioned something before that it's all apps now. Like, all the discussions are apps.
Yeah, I would say that one of the biggest things I got out of this year is that everywhere you went, someone was pushing the app, and it made me think that in the middle of last year, Chris Anderson, who's one of the editors of Wired, wrote an article that the web is dead. That on any given day, you're not using the web anymore, you're using the internet. So a great example was, on my way home, I was flying through Austin, I got delayed for 6 hours, I was in Austin and Detroit, so I was on my iPad, and as I sat there, I'm like, okay, let me catch up on the sports news I missed. So I went to my ESPN app, and then I, you know, was on my Twitter app, and then I checked the weather, and then I listened to Pandora, and never once did I think, okay, I'm going to open a web browser and, you know, search and do that. So it really made me think that we really are moving to an app world, that these apps are these customized experience where you take your identity with you a lot of times, whether it's Facebook and Twitter, app to app, and your friends are with you, that you're not just opening a web browser anymore on a mobile device, an iPad. You're really going app to app because there's such these great rich experiences that are so well defined and so niche that you get all your information consumed that way. And I really thought I saw that at South by that. Every corner there was someone with an app, and it was a little different. And QR codes are big there, quick response codes. Those are everywhere. They're on T-shirts and trees and signs and on the ground.
And our name tags all have them.
Yeah, and our name tags had them. So.
Where they take you to when
You had to pre-register with your